Green screen apa ya ini ya? Seperti biasanya ya. Green screen iklan. Mana ya gambarnya ya? Gambarnya ada di mana? Ini lagi nyari green screen saya nih. Green screennya itu iklan iklan ini ya. Apa namanya, iklan kelas online ya, karena saya lagi pengen kerja dari rumah dengan cara online. I can't wait forever. Kok belum mulai ya? Oh ini, alhamdulillah mulai. Open Zoom. Kita mau ke Zoom ya. Hello yang sudah bergabung, halo. Kasih ini apa ya? Agree.
Recording in progress. Meet Jeremy Harper and be part of the ASEAN and China Online World Conference. So before we move on to Jeremy, I'd like to cover a few quick housekeeping items. Please use the chat for general comments and feedback, and use the Q&A box for questions to the speaker. The questions in the chat might not be picked up because the chat moves really quickly, but in the Q&A section, I will be collating and putting your questions together. So when Jeremy's finished his presentation, we'll have a chance to get some of your questions to him. Audience microphones and cameras will remain throughout the session. And you'll get information about certificates and feedback form at the end of the session. Also, if you're in the Zoom room with us, you'll receive an email with additional details. If you're watching in the lobby, please join the webinar room to get that email. For everyone's safety and well-being, please be respectful in the chat and avoid posting personal details such as email address, phone numbers, or commercial links. And if you have any safeguarding issues and concerns, please contact safeguarding@britishcouncil.org. Please note that the session is being recorded and live streamed on multiple platforms, including Teach English Asia Facebook, Teach English China's WeChat video platform, and Bilibili. By joining us, you're agreeing to be part of this recording. So I'm Christine Donaghy, and I'm the Global Teach English Lead. Let me introduce you to Jeremy. As a teacher, trainer, consultant, and prolific author, his work has shaped the professional lives of countless English language teachers, from foundational texts like How to Teach English to innovative resources such as teaching very large classes and story-based language teaching. Jeremy's contributions have both been timeless and transformative. 2026 promises even more with an upcoming release of his English Teaching Today series, a fresh look at methodology for the modern classroom. So Jeremy, thank you for joining us today and joining everyone from China and ASEAN. And we're looking forward to your insights, your stories, and your passion for teaching.
Hello.
So it's over to you.
Anak ayam, Shiram
Gupta.
Hi.
Thank you very much for that introduction. And I now have a situation where I can't see my presentation. It seems to have disappeared. Not a very good way to start the talk, but we'll get there in the end.
We'll get there, don't worry.
Do I need to share again then?
Yes, if you see the share at the bottom.
Okay.
Hello from Indonesia.
One, I believe.
Pak Jeremy.
And here we are.
Dulu aku kuliah pakai bukumu.
Hello, whatever time of day it is, wherever you are. I'm here, sitting here in Cambridge in the United Kingdom, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here with you and to talk about something which is of incredible concern to all of us. Concern,
Ya,
excitement,
thank you. Ma'amit, di situ di meja itu ya, sayur
enthusiasm,
sama lauknya.
fear, whatever you like. Because I
Ini
want to
anak-
talk about how to be human,
Human.
which, I mean, we all know how to be human, I suppose.
Ini susunya
The
anak
world is
jajan.
now AI mediated, all over the region, all over your region.
Hello from
AI has
Indonesia.
become ubiquitous. It's grown everywhere. It's all over the place. People use it all the time.
Punya Jeremy Herbert berapa sih dulu?
And I just wanted to examine that a bit
Nggak bisa
in
nih.
terms of education, in terms of what we do as teachers
Halo.
and how we use it.
How to be human,
And
being
how we
ourselves
should
in an
not
AI-mediated
abuse it.
world. Bagaimana cara menjadi
But I
manusia
thought,
gitu ya?
If I look out of the window of my studio at the moment, it's grey and it's been raining this morning. It's not very nice weather, and I'm not very happy. So I want to go. I want to go here. This is where I want to go. It's a beach in the southwest
A beach.
of England.
Beach ya, jangan
called
salah
Denver
bacanya.
Bay.
A beach.
And I first went there when I was about 7.5, and I've been going ever since. It's just part of my summer pilgrimage, if you like. And that is, you can see out towards the North Atlantic, which is pretty cold, really, but you know, what the hell, it's the sea. And just to give you an idea of where it is, here's a map of the United Kingdom. On the left, as you look at the screen, you'll see the island of Ireland, and the sort of top bit is Northern Ireland, part of the United Kingdom. If you look at the top of the main island, that's Britain, you'll see a kind of face, and that's Scotland. And then if you go down the left-hand coast, looking at it, the
Oh,
western
nggak bisa
coast,
nulis di
you'll
message
see
sih.
a kind of bulge out, and that's Wales. So there we are. That's my country. And to give you an idea of
Yeah,
where that
I was in your
beach
country.
is,
I was in Nottingham
if you
5
look
years
at this
ago.
picture, you'll see.
So when
the
I
black dot
see
is
the
London,
country
to
of
give you
the
an idea,
UK,
and the red dot is where that
I'm
beach
quite
is.
familiar with it.
So it's right sort of towards the end of the UK. Anyway, a year ago or so, I was in the sea. I was standing in the sea with the water up to about my chest or something, and I was just wearing a pair of shorts. It wasn't a pretty sight. I'm not asking you to imagine that. I was freezing. I thought I was going to die of cold, but I knew it was good for me, and I was supposed to be enjoying it. Next to me, floating in the water with a big grin on her face, was my 8.5-year-old granddaughter. But she had a wetsuit on, so
Hello.
she didn't mind the cold at all. And we were chatting away, and the sun was shining.
Ini sambil
And then she looked
mendengarkan
up at me and she
paparan
said,
dari
"Granddad, when are you going to die?"
Mbah Jeremy Harmer yang bukunya itu dulu
It wasn't what
pas
I was
kuliah saya
expecting, so I
pakai
sort of
juga.
said, "Well,
Bukunya itu
I
Teaching
don't know,
Grammar apa ya, Jeremy
sometime,
Harmer.
I suppose, but I don't think I'm going to die today. I mean, that's not the plan anyway." And off we
Jeremy
went, and we had a
Harmer.
conversation
Teaching Grammar.
about how we don't know when we're going to die, and everybody dies, and blah blah blah. But don't worry, it doesn't matter. It's just part.
Oh,
we
the
had a
practice of
really
English
nice,
language
lovely,
teaching.
conversation. The conversation between a
Itu loh
loving
sayur sop oyong.
grandfather and a loving granddaughter.
Sama tempe.
And it was
Aduh, ada
funny
laran.
and silly, and what made it even sillier was that we were standing in the ocean having this stupid conversation and so on. But it was very human. Now, of course, what Freya, that's her name, my granddaughter, she was about 8.5, 9. What Freya could have done is asked AI when I was going to die, and AI would have told her. It would have said, well, it's probably going to be this or that. It could be then. It depends whether this depends on that. But it would have had it would have had none of the warmth and humanity and ridiculousness and absurdity of the fact that I was standing in the middle of the North Atlantic having a conversation with my granddaughter about such an important, but at the same time loving, humane, humorous situation. And my point in starting with this story is to say that is such a human interaction. Grandchildren all over the world, if they get on with their grandparents, ask them questions like that, because they're trying to work out how life is and what it means and what everything means and so on and so forth. In other words, You can find all the information you want in the world, but if you want to be a human, you may go about it in different ways. Now then, let's leave the loving granddaughters and grandparents and go to the British, the United Kingdom Houses of
Ini
Parliament.
parliament, ya.
This is a picture of the House of Commons, and if you look at it, that's where all the main debates take place. And if you look down in the middle of the picture, that is the Prime Minister of Great Britain, Keir
Aduh, ada
Starmer,
laron.
and he's answering a question of some kind or talking to the House of Commons. Recently, a very interesting phenomenon has occurred because all those 636 people, or I can't remember the exact number of MPs, they all at various stages have to make speeches, either in the House of Commons
MPs itu
or
kayak
when they go back
MPR-nya,
home to their
DPR-nya,
constituents or
DPR-nya
something
Inggris.
like that. And recently, someone has tracked their speeches, and they have found that these members of Parliament, our elected representatives, have started
ChatGPT
using
trigger search
phrases
in
that they never
iOS.
used to use.
Use of AI to write
They never used to
speeches.
use. And two of them that stand out, and if you were to look at a graph, it would go not, and then it goes off the scale. And they are, one of them is, I rise today, and I rise to speak. Now, as it turns out, and I didn't know this, these phrases
Ada laron.
are part of the procedure in the Congress of the United States. But they're not part of British political discourse, or at least they weren't. So why are these occurring in speeches by British parliamentarians? Well, the answer is perfectly simple. It's because they've been using ChatGPT to write their speeches. And ChatGPT just goes and sucks in data from wherever it can find it, and the most ubiquitous examples of this in United States, in English that is, in United
Halo
States.
Riza, hai, halo Riza. Senangnya aku lihat
Speeches and documents
Riza.
from the United States' form of government,
Apa
not the British
kabar?
one. But this is just an example, because all of the great speeches in history, and there will be your politicians and your philosophers and your poets from your country and so on, the great speeches in history have come from here. They've come from people's imagination, people's passion, people's creativity. But increasingly, a lot of this stuff is now being written by ChatGPT, by artificial intelligence. And the reason I'm telling you this little story is just to demonstrate what I'm saying. So, everyone is using artificial intelligence and ChatGPT to do lots and lots of tasks. I suppose if you're a very, very busy politician and you have to give lots and lots of speeches, it helps to have someone, I'll rephrase that, it helps to have something to do some of the work for you. If you are the President of the United States or the Prime Minister of Great Britain or
Tadi siang nggak sempat
Thailand
tadi
or
ke rumah
whatever,
sakit
or
antar anak,
China,
terus
the leader of China, all that kind
siang
of thing.
tadi
Well, you will
nggak
have people
bisa
to write your
live,
speeches for you.
baru malam ini
But,
bisa
you know,
live
your
ya.
average
Makasih ya
voting,
Risa sudah hadir di sini.
We go on. So there's something to me inhuman about that. But then, at my age, as I've said, I'm a grandfather. At my age, I sort of think, well, maybe I'm just very old-fashioned and I'm resisting.
Ini Jeremy Harmer loh. If you know Jeremy
Not
Harmer,
sure about that.
bukunya itu judulnya The
Let me
Practice of
introduce you to this
English
beautiful
Language
young woman.
Teaching. Halo
Well,
Fikri Maulana,
it's very
ingat
creepy
dong.
saying that, but
Halo
she's
Fikri,
rather
apa
lovely,
kabar
isn't she? Don't you think
Fikri?
so? She's got, if you like this kind of physical characteristics, she's got lovely flowing hair, she's got a really nice wide smile, pretty eyes and things like that. She's lovely. Yeah, no, I like her a lot. If she was my granddaughter, well, yes, I suppose I'm old enough
Wow,
to be
ini
a grandfather.
cucunya.
I think,
Cantik
isn't
banget.
my granddaughter pretty? Isn't she beautiful?
Oh, very
Her name?
beautiful.
You may have come across her already. Her name is Tilly Newbold. And she's an actor. And I've seen videos of her chatting and laughing and crying and all these kinds of things that actors do. But of course, what is so about the world is that she is an artificial
Hello,
creation
Tio.
created by artificial
X-Men, hello.
intelligence. She does not exist in human
Ui,
form.
ui, 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 ui.
This is a complete and utter
Okay, Fikri.
fabrication, a technological fabrication. Part of me looks at her and wonders and says, isn't that
Nonton apa? Oh,
incredible?
ini ikut
And the
seminar.
other part of me says,
Ini
oh
ikut
no.
seminar pengajaran bahasa
And what
Inggris.
about all the actresses all over the world on theatre stages, in movies, on television programs and things like that? How are they supposed to feel about Tilly Newbold? She's so appealing. She's so human. And yet she's not human at all. She's a
Kakak itu
fake.
guru les kah? Iya, betul Mas J, betul. Guru les.
And she's not.
Makanya ini iklan ini.
How to be human? Well, not like this. This is just a tech creation.
Ngajar bahasa Indonesia sama bahasa Inggris.
Aisha, she the other day ran a political discussion on one of our television programs here in the United Kingdom the other day, Channel 4. She was the moderator of this discussion, this debate.
Enggak
And
ngopi,
Aisha was
Mbak.
also
Belum
not
ngopi.
real.
Coba bilang kantor bapak
She
saya
was
besar yang cepat.
AI
Hah?
generated and
Kantor bapak
AI
saya besar. Udah.
created. She was just data. She was just dots and pluses and minuses of data. But I like having a granddaughter. I like having
Iya, online betul. Online Mas
brothers
D,
and
online
sisters and
betul.
wives and
Pakai
friends
Zoom ya.
and people who do things in the house.
Are you
I like all my
interested?
musical
Apakah
friends.
Anda
I play a
tertarik?
lot of music. I like all my musical friends. I like the sound we make. I like the smell and look and sound of my students and of my teacher colleagues. That's what being human is. And Aisha, I can't smell her or see her or touch her. I mean, you've got to be careful about that, but you understand what I mean.
Mhm.
I don't quite know, like most people, how to respond to all this. I went to a talk in April at our annual convention. I say our, I'm talking about an
Boleh Mas
organization
D,
called the
boleh
International
silakan.
Association of Teaching of English as a Foreign Language, which is a British-based international organization for teachers of English as
Boleh
a foreign
nanya.
language all over the world. So people come into our conference from China, from Thailand, from Japan, from Mexico, from Germany, from well, you name it, from Kazakhstan, from Ukraine, wherever. They come in from all over the world. And I went to one talk which I really enjoyed, by these two women, Rachel Toncelli and Ilka Costa. And as you can see, they're from the Northeastern University in Boston in the United States. And all they did, it's a very small piece of research, but it was fun. All they did was they went to teachers and asked them what they thought.
Ini sementara ini sebenarnya saya ada di naungan lembaga ya.
And then to use it.
Pusat bahasa miliknya universitas. Tapi semester ini sedang cuti karena sedang fokus mengajar kelas online bahasa Indonesia bagi penutur asing di Vietnam. Jadi kelasnya online. Pengajarnya di Indonesia, yang diajar ada di Vietnam. Tapi memang saya pengen mengembangkan kursus online sendiri. Ya, jadi ini memang sedang membangun fondasi gitu ya untuk mengembangkan kursus online sendiri. Di samping itu juga sedang mencoba karir di Preply. You know Preply? Preply itu adalah sebuah aplikasi untuk pengajaran bahasa, tapi saya mengambilnya bahasa Indonesia ya. Jadi karena saya orangnya orang Indonesia, native Indonesian ya. I'm a native Indonesian, jadi ngajar bahasa Indonesia di Preply, sedang merintis ini di Preply.
So I thought I'd do a bit of finding out
But not all human are wise, are they?
what people really thought. So this isn't research-based.
A love-hate
It's kind
relationship,
of,
exploring faculty attitude
it's
towards
true and
change
it's
in
experiences
an
I've had, but I
generation
asked, but before I go there, I just thought this was fun. You may not know who these people are, but we're talking here about the 15th century, and the guy on the left is Johannes Gutenberg, and he is famous in history in this part of the world, in the Western world, for having invented the printing press, or at least making print for the first time. Now, my ignorance, forgive me, is I don't know when printing first arrived in China or other countries in the region, but this guy's in German, and the thing he translated, because this was a Western Christian civilization, the thing he printed with his printing press was the Bible, the main Christian religious text. And a man called Johann Fust, he's the one in the middle, he took it off to a university to show everyone and hopefully to sell lots and lots and lots of copies.
Locker.
But he had to leave town fast.
Saya juga lagi nyari locker.
The students nearly killed him. They were terrified. They said, this is the end of civilization. And this is the devil's
You can
work.
watch my videos.
The big religious leader of the Western world at the time, Pope Alexander VI, these are pretty boys, he wanted to excommunicate Johannes Gutenberg and Johann Fuchs, cast them away from society into exile from the church, because he said they were all doing the devil's work, and it should not be allowed.
Come to think
My own
of
feeling
it,
is that
all
he
of us
also
should
knew
remain
that if
human, not just
other people
teachers.
got hold of the religious texts on which his livelihood depended, that might lessen his power. But that's another story. The handsome chap on the top left, he's the one who interests me. I thought this just made me laugh, This is
No,
what he
sir.
said
Sometimes I have the same thought.
the
They are
printed word.
intelligent exponential.
Printed books will
It
never
is
be the equivalent of
charismatic.
handwritten codices, especially since
Printed
printed
book
books
will
are
never-
often deficient in spelling and appearances. In other words, he's digging we say he's digging his feet into the sand so he can't be moved. But we're talking here about 1400 and something or other. I mean, a long, long, long time ago. And the printing press was one of the great advances of civilization in the Western world, and changed everything. And the only reason I put this up here, of course, is to remind ourselves that you know what, all big shifts,
Kalau yang
especially
diajar
when
dan
it has
dikasih
to do with
belajar itu
words and
namanya apa?
ideas and things like that,
Sesuatu apa?
will always cause
Namanya
the fear of the
pembelajar.
apocalypse, or
Karena
the fear of
kelas
the
saya
unknown.
yang di Vietnam
So
itu
I've got to be careful
di bawah
with
badan
the
bahasa.
fear part of
Jadi
how
badan
I
bahasa
respond
tuh punya
to the way things are going,
kelas
because
BIPA ya,
everything's very
bahasa
fast.
Indonesia bagi penutur asing
I
itu
thought I didn't
punya
want to go on
sebutan
talking
sendiri.
about
Jadi kalau
Gutenberg,
gurunya
but I
namanya
thought maybe,
pengajar,
I'd ask
siswanya
what it
pemelajar,
thinks.
pemelajar ya,
So,
pemelajar.
I said,
What makes
I've
us
got to give
human?
a talk about what it means to be human. What actually makes us human?
History doesn't repeat, but it sure rhymes ahead
I
a lot.
said,
I think there should
you
be
say it's our
research in
capacity
that
for
mystery.
imagination, storytelling, and self-reflection. We create
You
art
could
not just to decorate, but to express our innermost thoughts and emotions. We invent complex language to communicate thoughts that didn't even exist until we gave them shape. But this is where it gets interesting. Our capacity for imagination. We love, grieve, wonder, and dream.
Apa tadi yang jatuh ya?
It's also tied to our moral compass, our empathy, and our messy, beautiful yearning for connection and meaning. And my little story about me and my granddaughter in the sea is all about that yearning, imagination, wonder, laughter, dreaming, empathy, connect, all that kind of thing. That's what makes us human. Of course, I had to ask AI so that I could understand it. I'm joking, that was just an idea, you know. That's a lot of what it is to be human. And if I'm teaching in a face-to-face classroom, I've got a bunch of humans in front of me, and I'm one too. And so my classroom has to be a place where imagination and laughter and dreaming and wonder and empathy and connection and meaning is present in the classroom, because without it, I don't really see what the point is. Let's go. I thought I'd ask some people I knew. I asked lots of people, so I asked
Ada
these
gak awal-awal
four
ada kendala
people.
bagi pembelajaran misalnya?
And,
Pembelajaran kalau
let me explain who they
pembelajaran
are.
kalau nama
On the left,
prosesnya pembelajaran.
is a woman called
Salah
Tanya
menerangkan kata
Harper.
dan salah.
She's
Oh,
a
ada
university
banyak,
lecturer
sering.
in
Sering.
history. She's a
Sering
history
salah,
university
namanya
lecturer
juga
in the London
manusia,
School of
tempatnya salah.
Economics. In the middle
Pernah
is
juga
with the glasses is Chas Pugliese. He lives in Paris. He's a teaching trainer and a
pernah
writer.
juga ada
And
masalah
incidentally, and this is
sama
important for what I'm going to tell you,
siswa dari
he's a
Eropa.
very, very
Ternyata
fine jazz musician and a good
kan
jazz
kalau di kita
teacher
itu
and jazz
kamu itu
guitarist.
kritis gitu, itu
And
bagus ya, itu pujian ya.
And on the
Pinter, aku
right
suka karena kamu tuh orangnya kritis kayak gitu. Itu kayak pujian.
from
Tapi
Brazil.
ternyata
And
itu
he's a
saya
teacher, and he
sampaikan
also
ke
writes
siswa
teaching materials and
Eropa
course
itu
books, and so on and so forth.
bagi mereka itu
And
hal
then,
yang ofensif gitu ya.
The
Jadi
blanked
harusnya
out
nggak
face there, and I'll explain why in a
dikatakan
minute,
gitu. Jadi
is
pernah
a
ada yang
friend of mine,
tersinggung kayak
whose
gitu.
name I won't give you, who's
Ya
the
udah terus minta maaf karena
principal of a primary school.
kirain
Ordinary,
dengan culture my
English
Indonesian
primary
culture kan
school,
saya mikirnya
about
oh kalau
20 minutes
kamu
away
tuh
from
kritis ya
Cambridge.
gitu, itu
Oh, I know.
pujian kan, jadi
And
kita
I
muji
thought, I
pinter
wonder what
gitu ya.
they'll say,
Ternyata bagi
because all of these
mereka
people
enggak.
work with
Terus
encounter
salah
living,
menerangkan
as we
kata,
all
salah
do,
kalimat,
a world of artificial
salah
intelligence
menerangkan,
in
salah
the field of
menjelaskan ya
education.
biasa.
How's
Karena
it
namanya
doing
juga
for them?
guru juga manusia.
Now,
Kadang
Tanya
juga
Harper, for
salah,
example,
nggak bisa benar all the
described to
time.
me
Kalau salah ya udah
the
di
Isle of Man.
ya adanya
Student
kesalahpahaman ya,
student
kesalahpahaman
mismatches.
gitu.
Now, I've made a terrible mistake. Where is
Lebih ke
it? There's
masalah
man. That should
culture
be a
sih.
capital
Kalau
M.
kalau
Because
lagi
Isle of Man,
awal-awal
and there's a little
level
island
1, level 2
off
gitu
the
lebih
west
ke
coast of
masalah
England.
culture ya.
Tanya
Kayak
teaches,
mereka ditanya-tanya sama
Cold War,
pedagang pasar, mereka
history.
belanja ke
That's the
pasar
history
tuh
of the Cold War.
ditanya-tanya,
That's
oh
the
rumahnya mana,
1970s,
tinggalnya di mana, dari
in
mana.
South America. That's her field.
Mereka tuh takut gitu karena kenapa
And
mereka
very
tanya
knowledgeable
itu ke
she is
saya,
too.
apakah mereka
So
mau
she
datang
has
ke
students who are
kos-kosan saya
undergraduates,
gitu,
postgraduates,
enggak.
and doctoral students.
Dijelaskan. Jadi
And,
memang orang Indonesia itu cara
recently she's
maintain,
noticed
cara menjaga
some
hubungan
strange
dengan
things
orang lain itu
going
salah
on.
satunya basa-basi. Tanya
One
mau
student
kemana,
wrote a paper
itu
on
salah satu bagian dari basa-basi. Ya udah kita
the war
jawab aja, nggak usah dijawab yang jujur juga nggak apa-apa, pokoknya ada jawaban gitu ya. Orang Indonesia bukannya begitu, cuman mau ramah aja sebenarnya, nggak pengen tahu terus rumahnya mana, terus datang ke rumahnya gitu, nggak ya itu kayak ya kayak gitu lah. Makanan juga. Makanan juga. Jadi mereka yang pernah saya ajar secara offline ya, langsung gitu. Mereka juga ada kesulitan, misalnya kalau orang Eropa, Afrika, Arab Afrika gitu, mereka makannya kan roti. Rotinya Indonesia manis, mereka nggak bisa, jadi mereka harus nyari roti khusus yang jual versi international, roti yang tidak manis ya, roti which is not manis gitu ya. Mereka maunya rotinya yang benar-benar tawar gitu.
But there was something funny about it. And also, because this was an international student, Tanya Harper was not convinced that this person could write as well as the writing was. In other words, that her English was good enough. And it turned out, of course, and she challenged the student, and it turned out that this student had used AI, write a paper, and the student herself didn't really know what she was talking about.
Mas D ini
so obviously she couldn't
mahasiswa
get a
atau
passing grade for that. In the case of Chas Pugliese, he had a student
yang
in
jelas
his jazz class.
berhubungan dengan
And she
orang
wrote an
yang
incredible,
tidak senegara itu
paper
memang
about the
pasti
history
ada
of Western jazz or something like that.
barriersnya ya.
complete, he says, flawless analysis. But he knew that student, and he knew she could not do that. And after questions, he gave her the grade of 0.
Saya dulu punya
Because-
teman kuliah
Why?
orang
Well, because it
Libya
wasn't her work.
tanya,
And you can't have
namamu
that.
Primanda Dewanti. Primanda artinya apa? Dewanti artinya
Tanya Harmer,
apa?
of
Terus
course,
saya
says,
jawab
at
Dewanti.
the moment you can
Dewanti
generally
itu
notice
kenapa
when
namaku
students
Dewanti
are
gitu ya?
using
Karena
AI,
Dewanti karena
because they make a mess of
Dewanti
it, AI
itu
makes a mess
adalah
of it. And the
feminim
student themselves
version
don't really
dari
know what they're
dewa.
talking
Dewa
about.
itu God in
But her point
di
is,
bahasa
5
Hindu
years
gitu,
from
bahasa
now,
Hindu kuno.
5 years from now,
Loh, tapi kan
will she
kamu
be able
Muslim,
to
mereka nggak
know
bisa,
whether this is true or not?
ini kurang
Who knows?
paham gitu ya.
In the case
Kan
of
kita secara
Chaz,
sejarah itu Indonesia itu secara sejarah
his
itu kan
daughter, who's a
memang
teenager, I think,
dulu kala itu
she
agamanya
was
Hindu
accused
Buddha
of
gitu
using
ya. Terus
AI for one of her
bahasanya kan
competitions,
juga
but she
terpengaruh.
hadn't.
Jadi bahasa-bahasa
So,
kita itu
we're in a bit of a mess about
ada
this,
yang asalnya
and
dari
teachers all over the
bahasa
world,
Sanskrit ya.
and
Mau tidak
students,
mau
if you
kita
like,
terpengaruh.
don't quite
Jadi
know how to
orang
deal
tua
with it.
saya ngasih nama ya Primanda
Students
Dewanti.
in
Dewanti
the
adalah
United Kingdom rely
versi
on
feminim
AI
dari
for all
dewa.
sorts
Terus
of
ada juga
things.
yang orang yang namanya
But
Dewi
teachers
gitu ya.
do not want
Itu
them to
juga
produce
ya
work done with AI, because the whole
terpengaruhi
point
oleh
of being
bahasa.
going to university or going to a lesson or going to any educational situation is to learn how to be, is to learn how to think and imagine and function. Now, part of that capability, of course, is to know how to use technology, including AI. The primary teacher on the right, the primary head teacher, I'm not giving you her name or anything else like that, but it's a big issue to do with it. You've got these data centers all over China, all over the United States, all over these places. Is data secure there? You bet your bottom something it isn't. And the moment she starts to say something about where her school is, online, I mean, where her school is, or what her name is, or who her children are, someone gets access to all of the data from that school and the children and so on, and that can't be right. It's just not right. Anyway, her worry, which is the biggest express worry for all people involved professionally in education, her worry is we're de-skilling children. Children need, part of the point of going to school when you're a child is to learn how to be with other children, to learn how to be with adults, to learn how to work together, to create that kind of thing. But it's also the point of going to school, when it works well, is to learn how to think, how to imagine, how to create, how to develop empathy and connection and all the things that even AI knows about. But AI doesn't know about them, AI just kind of knows they exist. Luis Otavio writes educational material, course books, that kind of thing. And when I asked him what he thought, he said, well, God knows how this will affect the market and my income. I mean, maybe this is going to kill me, and I'll never be able to, that's the end of me as a writer, because if AI can write all the course books, I'm finished. And then I'll have to find another job, and it's not so easy in the world of AI. On the other hand, if you think of my primary school head teacher, he says, actually, I use AI all the time. I can't imagine life without it. He was preparing a talk, just like my talks, and he got halfway through, he got stuck. He didn't know what to do. AI gave him clarity he needed and solved his problems in seconds. Wonderful. He says it solved the problem in seconds. At its current level of development, I'm sure it won't replace me as a writer. Well, he's saying the same as Tanya, isn't he? That right now, no problem. 5 years from now, who knows? The case of the head teacher, she's actually used AI very productively. She had to write a very difficult email to some parents of a child who was having problems, and she was finding it really difficult to work out how to do it. So she got AI to help her write an email. She got AI to design interview tasks and so on and so forth. So, this is something I used the other day. I'm writing methodology, this is a new publisher. My publishing company is called Better Lake Publishing, and as Kirsten said in her introduction, thank you, Kirsten. I've got a series of books coming out called English Teaching Today, which are up-to-date
Hello.
methodology books, and I
Zitbang,
had to
hello.
write about mixed ability teaching and a quick summary. And I was sitting where I'm sitting now. My brain was slow, and I was feeling tired. And I thought, I know I've written about mixed ability so often before. What do I want to say? Oh, come on, AI, just tell me. And it quickly gave me a sort of little geography of the thing. And so I quickly wrote what you could see on the screen. And then I thought, oh my God, maybe AI is de-skilling me, and I'm losing myself. I'm letting AI do all the work. And that would really scare me, because whether you like me or loathe me, whether you like what I write or you don't write, it's me. It's me, and the only thing I've got to offer really is me. And I repeat, I'm not asking you to say how wonderful, but you know, who are the best teachers? The best teachers are the me that we all have. And if we get the me right, then students have something to be human about and relate to. What do I want to say now? I'm looking at the time, so I've got to get this right. What do I want to say now? I want to say that we are all going to use AI today, tomorrow, and into the future, until something else happens. And then, you know, in the next 10 years, God knows where we'll all be. So let's not let AI use us. Let's use it. Mm-hmm. Let's use AI to make us more human, not less human. Here's a very simple little idea. Because, by the way, the advantages of AI we haven't really talked about, but it's fantastic. It's so fast. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't... I was going to say it doesn't make mistakes. Oh, yes, it does. But we'll see what happens in 5 years. But you know, it's an incredible resource. Yes, we can worry about the fact that it uses so much power, electricity, it uses power, it uses water, it uses all these things. Yeah, but then so do other things. But there's lots to worry about with AI. It can have a devastating effect on the planet. It can turn our brains to mush, to kind of porridge. It can stop us thinking. It can de-skill us, but not if we take charge. And my objective with students is to make sure that AI doesn't use them, they use it. So here's just a very simple idea. So for example, you get students to prepare together, and they prepare a presentation in pairs. They talk to each other, and they discuss what they want to present, whatever the topic is, maybe, and they discuss their presentation. Then they say to AI, could you please present a visual presentation to accompany our presentation? I need a PowerPoint, I need something like that. And AI will supply them with a visual presentation. Yes, I do worry about how much power and water and everything that uses, but that's another story for the time. And the visual presentation will be as good or as bad as what the students ask AI to do. In other words, we can judge whether the students have done a good job in their own heads using their own creativity and empathy by how good the presentation is. And then they present to the class. Another thing you can do, if you're going to have a debate, is to ask artificial intelligence to give you, say, 3 or 4 good phrases to use in your arguments and lots of examples. And then you learn it from that, and then in the debate, you use those phrases. And look what's happened. AI has actually helped us to learn, but the really important part of learning a phrase or something in a language is not just, oh, look, there it is on the page, but to internalize it and use it. So we've used AI so that we can process language better and learn better. In other words, look at us, aren't we good? Here's an idea of using AI, because one of the great advantages of AI is how quick it is. I repeat, it's not perfect, it makes mistakes, it can turn you into a lazy piece of rubbish, all those kind of things, but not if we use it. And here's a little something I've tried which is rather fun. And you start with a class, then you go to a group, then you go to a class. It's to do with music. I do a lot of music. Next to me I have a number of, I've got a number of, oh, you can't see it because of the background, so I'm not going to show it. I've got a number of musical instruments all over the place in the studio. So let's have a go. We're going to sing together using AI. Well, we're not, actually, but because this is an online presentation, but bear with me. The class, we have a good class discussion. What makes a good song? Come on everyone, what makes a good song? Write down a word, write down a phrase on a piece of paper or on your phones or on your tablets or whatever you use to record things. And now, share it with the class. So the students will almost certainly talk about rhythm, the tune, dancing, emotion, whatever they want. So there we are. We now know, we've had a discussion about singing. So first of all, that's human. We've shared humanly about that. And then, for a class, we choose a topic for a song. We choose a topic for a song. And it could be love, it could be the planet, it could be the seasons, it could be nostalgia, it could be holidays. Well, anyway, they choose a topic for a song. And then the students get into groups, and each little group has to create the prompts for AI to write it a song. And it has to tell AI exactly what kind of song it wants. I want a song in this style, in this genre, that you can dance to, or that you can feel sad to, or that you can feel happy to. You know, in other words, we decide exactly what kind of a song we want. And the merit of the song will depend entirely on how good those prompts are. And then you press the button, and boom, in 7 seconds you've got a song. And this actually is a song I got AI to write for me. But my prompts weren't very good, but I asked it to write me a song about the seasons of the year in my part of the world and all sorts of things like that. And I would play you the tune, but I don't have, there it is, but I don't have enough time. And so each group has now has got AI to produce, say, 4 or 5 different songs. The class listens to each of those songs in turn and then votes for the best song. And then they analyze the language, and then they play with it and things like that. And if they want, they kind of sing along with it. You know, that's fantastic. Number one, teachers had to do almost no work. No massive preparation, nothing. It's to come out of the students' heads. The students have made all the decisions. The students have made all the running and the creativity for it. And AI's done the hard work, which is just all the kind of stuff you do in your room for hours preparing a lesson. We've humanized AI. But how do we stay human? How do we stay human as AI develops and engulfs us? How do we train students to use AI properly? Here's a fascinating thing. I was in a place called Porec at the weekend. Porec is a beautiful seaside town on the coast of Croatia, in the Balkans. And I was talking to a teacher there, and she said, well, my students can do all this kind of thing, and They can TikTok and Snapchat and all this kind of thing, but they still find it difficult to work out how to send a document. You know, kids aren't naturally technologically amazing, but that's another story. How do we stay human? Well, the first thing the teacher needs to do is not to use AI. Have students to work together without going to AI first, just like we did with the song. I should change number one. I don't say don't use AI. I want to say don't use AI when you don't need to. Use AI judiciously. Use it when you can. Here's a really big thing. We need to encourage students to take pride and ownership in what they produce, not AI. For example, in sports, you could get AI to run the race for you, but actually I want you to run the race, and I want you to come first or second or third or understand what you need to do. Listen, my dear student, what can you do? I want you to show to me who you are. I don't want you to show to me what AI has done for you. We have to encourage students to take pride and ownership in their own, what was it? Creativity, imagination, art, all those things. But let's be quite clear. One of our functions will have to be, is already in this world, to train students how to use AI appropriately, to teach them how to analyze what AI gives them, to teach them as they grow and develop how this unbelievable resource can be used to make them better people, more human people, and more successful and productive and happy people. Because it was after all, it was Aristotle, I think, was it? Or was it Plato who said the point of education is to teach children how to live better in a social world and to live happy and better in a social world. So, yeah, use AI, because you'd be insane not to use AI, but to do it better. So, for example, on the very simple level, anything that AI does for you will depend on how good, how precisely you ask it to do what you want. The product of AI, what AI pumps out at the moment, is what you ask of it, and what you ask of it is the human part of everything. The two little examples I just gave you they're not about what AI produces, they're about what we ask of AI. There was a famous American president who said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. That's a terrible quote. I don't know why it came into my head. It's got nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I'm going to have some water. Anyway, and then the most important thing is make sure that, like everything in technology, like every book, like every social media post, like every piece of music, like every book, like everything, is the good AI users use critical thinking. They say, we say to them, don't just say, I've got it, that's it. No, they have to analyze what is produced. They have to analyze what happens. How's this going on? Is this useful? Why is this not useful? Do you believe what it's telling you? Has it got it right? Would you like to change it in any way? How would you like to change it? And all of those things are all about getting my human brain thinking and working. Because remember what AI said about being human? It said these four things. And in the end, this is only a 45-minute talk, so, you know, I would love now to go into about 2 or 3 hours of workshop and actually look in detail about the practical implications of what I've been saying, and ask you for your response to what I've been saying, because I've learned so much from you about how you use AI and how you try and resist the potential the damage that AI is doing. But I come back to what I draw out of what AI told me, which makes me laugh because it's sort of funny and ridiculous all at the same time, which is there are 4 huge things that I think education is there for, whether we're teaching kids, university students, adults who want to learn English, anyone who wants to learn anything, anyone who wants to be, anyone who wants to be human. And it's all about how we make moral choices, how we develop and nurture the empathy we feel for each other, how connection and meaning happen, connection between each other, connection with ideas, connection with any spiritual dimension we want to have, and above all, about our imagination, what we can imagine forward. Now listen to a man, I'm going to finish now, and see if we've got a little bit of time, Kirsten, for some questions. There was a man on the radio this morning talking about a terrible attack that had happened on a Jewish synagogue here in Britain the other day, and drawing some benefit from it. And he came up with this lovely phrase: a little bit of light pushes away a lot of darkness. A little bit of light pushes away a lot of darkness. And a little bit of imagination and empathy and connection and meaning, it beats every single other thing that the world has to offer us in the end. So, I'd rather go back. I could consult AI right now, I've got a lot of things to do, but I'd rather go back to the beach. Though since last year, I've bought my own wetsuit so I don't get so cold, which is a very good thing. There you are, thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. It was so insightful, and we definitely need to ensure that we still have empathy, laughter in our classrooms, and we continue to teach good writing skills. And I'm going to jump into the questions that we have, because we do have a lot, and I want us to be able to touch on some of them. So from our Zoom room, one question was, what message do we give to students who aspire to be writers, seeing obviously how the future looks?
That's a really, really, really good question, because it perturbs professional writers all over the world at the moment. I think the message you give to them is the process of writing on your own, without just pressing buttons on the computer, without consulting it, just writing. I do a lot of writing. I write songs, I write books, I write all this kind of thing. Now, it's not for everybody, you don't have to be a writer, but the process of writing is so good for your brain. The message is, do it. It makes you feel better. It makes you a better human being, and you've got the chance to feel great if it goes well, and you've got a chance to understand better as well. Because when you write, I don't know about you, or anybody else listening to this, but you know, if I've got a problem, trying to write it out will often help me resolve the problem because of the process that's happening in your brain. That's my message. And the other message is, your writing can create beauty. If it's not easy, God knows, we've all written rubbish. But at its best, I've got to give a talk next week about hope in a very difficult situation where the teachers work, and your imagination and your thinking about that is your one true escape from the things that are going wrong, I think. So that's what I'd say. Also, it's fun. Just do it, and then chuck it up on a board or something like that, or on a internet site. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And you made the point earlier in your talk about the UK and US politicians. And obviously, large language models use more data from certain cultures than others. So how can we teach our learners to access culturally relevant responses so we're not spreading cultural bias?
Gosh, whoever asked that question, that's a doctoral thesis all on its own, and that would only scratch the surface, doesn't it? Look, it's a massive problem, isn't it? I've just read an incredible book. I'm going slightly off the point. I've just read an incredible book by two good friends of mine, two colleagues, called Women in ELT, and it's about the history of gender inequality and how women are still to this day disadvantaged in English language teaching and so on and so forth. And one of the reasons, of the many reasons why there are problems, is who is the one pumping out information? Where's it all coming from? And the only is that the only thing you can do about that is you need to see one to be one. You need to see things to be those things. You need to be encouraged. Now, in the case of all these language and colonial models and things like that, especially with the language of English, which is a classic case, you have to go looking. You've got to not just say, yeah, I want to sound like this or like that. Say, how do people use English in this country? What are the features of, say, Thai English? What are the features of Vietnamese English which are useful for me and which have universality? And which of them are the ones that hold us back, and so on and so forth? In other words, yes, there are some dominant levels of English in the world, particularly American English of various kinds. But if you look even at American English, it's not static, it's changing. There are Hispanic varieties of American English. There's a phenomenally identifiable sort of Chinese English kind of varieties going around, even on mainland United States, let alone in China. The great glory of what's happening, it seems to me, to my language, it's not my language, but the language that I grew up with, is that it is so much more diverse and fluid than it ever was. So, because of the statistics, it's 6, 7, 8 times as many people now speak English as a second, third, fourth, or fifth language as they do, like I'm sort of guessing from your accent than you and I might do. And isn't that exciting? Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful? My friends, my wife is Brazilian. She speaks really good English. She never had it until she was about 8 or 9. She started with it. And she's just one of millions, and they add to the language and they change it, and they make the language a rich and growing and moving thing. And what you need to do is to work out how to access that. How do most Brazilians say this? Find me some differences between Chinese English and I don't know, German English or something like that. What are the differences? What's the same? What's different? How I think it's up to us to go looking, rather than just say, oh, I've got to learn English, so I need to be able to sound like President Trump. No, so like, I need to be able to sound like an educated American. No, you need to sound like an educated you. And what you need to sound like is an educated you who can be understood by everyone and can understand everyone. I don't know about your foreign languages or anyone else here, whether English is a second language for you all, and if it is, what are your other languages and things like that. The language I speak next best after English is Spanish, for various reasons. I lived in Mexico for many years. When I speak Spanish, do I sound like a Mexican? No, I don't. I sound like Jeremy speaking Spanish. And that's fine for me. And provided I can express myself and understand what's being said to me, that's all I need. Language is not about who they are. Language is about who we are, who I am.
Thank you. Yeah, and there's lots of comments coming through about ethical considerations, moral judgment, lots of really fantastic. Sorry, my eyes are going because I'm looking at lots of the different questions coming in. We've got one question I've selected from the audience in China who are joining us on WeChat.
Yeah.
And this member of the audience says, I teach primary school English in China. As AI tools emerge, some administrators suggest that they could implement or even replace teachers for basic instruction. But I believe young children need something fundamentally different than older learners. What do you think?
Well, I can give you a sort of dystopian sort of version of the future where AI does routine teaching tasks instead of teachers, and the children all end up looking pretty much like little robots doing exactly what they're told. What's the point of little children going to school? The point of it is to learn how to be human, and learning how to be human involves all the mess and the mistakes and the laughter and the tears and the confusion and all of that. And good primary teachers, by the way, some of the most noble people in the world, good primary teachers have this incredible role of nurturing these children and helping them through the chaos and the confusion and the sheer joy of being alive and learning. My word, how exciting! We've all lost it. Certainly, if you get to be my age, you know, we've all lost it. We're all boring old idiots. Being children is just what a thing, where your brain is exploding, where everything is new. The way children suck up information from everything, from music, from parents, from teachers, from touch, from smell, from colour, it's just. And if you tell me that can all be done by machine, I'll tell you, I'm not interested. I'm going to go and live on my desert island by myself. No, the point of primary teaching, as far as I can see, is to help these children be and human to human. That's what it's all about. If something like AI can help some of the routine rubbish about, you know, producing this, that, and the other. We haven't even talked about teachers' use of AI. Routine tasks, all sorts of stuff like that. Help with lesson planning, help with suggestions for this, that, and the other. Yes, 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 yes. But if you're in education, it's because of people, it's because of human beings. And it's not about systems.
Well, thank you very much, Jeremy, and thank you to the audience for all your amazing questions. I'm sorry we didn't get to cover any more. And I just have to tell you how you can get your certificate. And there's two sets of instructions, one set of instructions for our audience joining us from China, and then another set of instructions for the rest of the world. So if you can just wait for the rest of the world, if you're there, we're joining us from there, whilst we let the China team know that here's how to get your certificate using the WeChat official account for British Council. And you'll find the survey link in the latest post. If once you complete the survey, you'll get an email with your certificate. And please do take time to give us your thoughts on the survey, because it really helps us plan future events. And I'm now just going to have my eye on the other chat just to make sure when the China team disconnect, and I'll move on to telling the rest of the world how to get their certificates. This is due to the AI bots being able to read if we're sharing QR codes or not in WeChat. Okay, so we can move on to the rest of the world. If you're joining us from anywhere else, this is how to get your certificate. You can use the QR code here, and you'll get a feedback survey, or the link is in the chat as well. And again, after you submit your survey, you'll see a message with a link, and you can download your certificate. Open the PDF, and you can fill in the details, your name and surname, and save your personalized certificate. Again, completing the survey gives us a lot of information to help us with future events and continue to provide teachers around the world with events like this, with people like Jeremy. So our next session will be tomorrow at 4 o'clock in Thailand and Vietnam, 5 o'clock China, Malaysia, and it's a panel on teacher leadership in action. So we look forward to everyone joining us for that. And thank you very, very much, Jeremy, for your session today, your insight. I hope you have a chance now we can stay in the room afterwards and look at the comments, and I can share the other questions that I didn't get to ask you today.
Yeah, and if I'm still alive, just to say to everyone, thank you for listening to me. I hope at least it sparks some thoughts and some reflections. Who knows?
There's an abundance of love hearts flooding the screen. I don't know if you can see that. Yes. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you all tomorrow, hopefully.
Recording stopped.
Hello. Udah sholat tadi habis seminar, tadi habis pas di tengah-tengah ini ya, tadi menyempatkan diri buat sholat ya. Nah sekarang terus mau gimana kalau kita nyanyi lagu I Can Wait Forever karaoke, lagunya Air Supply ya, kecil-kecil aja ya, kecil-kecil aja suaranya. You'll be there too. I can wait. Hah? Apa? Heeh. I can wait forever if you will. Apa kak? Tikus? Paling ana sing jatuh wae. Wis nang kamar. Halo yang baru datang. Bisa dibantu like sama subscribe ya. Sudah selesai semua.